English subject, lesson 1.4, The King's Choice. There was once a lion who was the king of the forest. He was big and strong and very fierce. All other animals in the forest called him king. They brought him gifts from every corner of the forest. But more the lion had, the more he wanted. The king must have a coat, he said to himself one day. He called a fox to his forest and said, "You are known to be a wise and clever creature." Fox said to the lion, "I want you to be my advisor." "Thank you, your majesty," said the fox, bowing low. The lion next called the leopard to his side. "You are known to be watchful and swift-footed leopard. I want you to be my bodyguard." "Thank you, your majesty," said the leopard, bowing low. The lion then called the vulture to his said, "You are bird, vulture, and can fly high. You are to be my messenger." The lion then called the vulture and he said, "You are the bird, vulture, and can fly high. You are to be my messenger." "Thank you, your majesty," said the vulture, bowing low. The fox, the vulture, and the leopard took an oath of loyalty to the king. The king promised to give them food and protection. For some time all went well in the court of the lion. The court trees were never opposed to the king. His wishes were law. Whenever they rode, they stood in a way. Whenever he took a walk, they followed him. When the lion king went hunting, they found animals for him to kill. And after he had his meal, he left the remain for them. So they always had enough to eat. One day the vulture came back from the flight. "Your majesty, have you ever eaten a camel?" he asked. "It is very tasty. I ate it once in the desert." The lion had never seen a camel, but he liked the idea of trying camel's meat. "But where can we get a camel?" he asked. "There is a desert some miles away," said the vulture. "I was flying over it when I saw a lone camel not far away. It looked big and fat." The lion looked at these other advisors. They were wise and experienced. He wanted their opinion. Now the fox and the leopard did not know the desert, but they did not want the vulture to seem wiser than them. So they said since it was the vulture's idea, he should lead the way. Early next morning, the lion and his coat started off the camel hunt. They reached the edge of the desert easily, but after they left the shelter of the forest, the day began very hot. The earth shone down with a fire-hot rays. High up in the cooler air, the vulture flew. "Hurry along," called the camel. "Is not far off." But the lion could not hurry anymore. The hot sand had burned his paws. He could not go no further. "Stop," he shouted to others. Let us go back to the forest. I do not care to try the camel meat." The lion's king advisors were frightened. The forest was far behind them and they did not know how to get the lion back home. The leopard wanted to run away. The vulture wanted to watch and wait and eat the lion later on. But the clever fox thought of a plan. Off into the desert he ran, saying, "I will bring some help." After running, he ran, saying, I will get some help. After running for some time, the fox found the camel. The camel was indeed surprised to see him. Hurry up, friend, camel, said the fox. Our king wants you at once. Your king, said the camel. Who is that? I do not know any king. I only know my master, for whom I carry goods across the desert. O king, our king, the lion has killed your master, said the fox. Now you are free, and the lion has invited you to live at his court. Come along. The camel followed the fox. When the fox and the camel reached the lion's camp, the vulture and the leopard were surprised. Even the lion looked pleased in spite of his burned paw. The camel was presented to the king. He agreed to serve the lion in return for home at his court. Get on the camel's back, your majesty, said fox. We will return home. The lion at once jumped on the camel's back. His coteries, the fox and the leopard, jumped up behind him. And with the vulture flying ahead as a guide, they set off on a long journey back to the forest. When the travelers reached the forest, they were all tired and hungry. The fox, the leopard, vulture looked at the camel. Then they looked at each other and smiled hungry smiles. They had brought the camel for the king's dinner. Now it was time for the feast. The Lion King knew what his coteries were thinking. He called the camel to him. Friend camel, he said, I have to thank you for saving my life. You are welcome to live at my court as long as you like. I promise you my protection. The lion's coteries were shocked. Had they not risked their lives so that they could try a camel meat? And the king wanted to let the camel live? The coteries were not pleased with the decision yet. They could not do nothing. Now, the lion's paw was so badly burned that he could not go hunting. But that did not keep him from growing very hungry indeed. Fox, leopard, vulture, he shouted, don't you see that I am ill and hungry? Go and get me some food. The coteries had to obey the king, so out they went. But they did not go far. They sat down in the safe place and discussed what they could do. I know, said the fox after a while. We shall make the camel ask to be eaten.